A review of the Leica Q3 43. I don't want to bore you guys with technical specs and stuff. This is a camera I purchased myself. Obviously, I love it enough to buy it, but it's not a camera for everyone. I'll just outright say that the people who buy it is people who want the Leica badge or see some magic in it. And in this review, I hope to cover what I don't like about this camera and what I love about the camera itself. And from there, if you align with me, great. If you don't align with me, well, there are many other better cameras out there to buy. Don't spend your money on something that you don't want. This review will have a lot of images because rather than see me hand waving, look at some images, enjoy yourself. It's a lot better. So let's start off with what I don't like about the camera. And I can tell you that I have more about things I don't like rather than things I love. Firstly, I think the handling is pure, close, not very nice, like trash. Okay, let me explain, right? This camera is pretty heavy. If you have held any Leica before, this is a chunky camera, weight-wise. But look at how am I gripping this camera. Terrible grip. There is no hum here. Leica chose to have aesthetics over usability. Let me just show you. This is the GFX 100. It has a hum, holds nicely like this, and this doesn't. For a camera this weight, I always fear I drop the camera on the ground. This leather here gives me a bit more grip, but it's not very useful. To solve this, I have to spend under $100, buy a third-party case to solve the problem. Not that great, right? Well, it's Leica. Problem 1. Problem 2 is, why no dedicated ISO dial? Now this dial, if it was set in certain ways, is the ISO dial. But sometimes, depending on what you do, it's not the ISO dial. So why no ISO dial? Leica pride themselves as a camera to use for people who just want to take photos. Put an ISO dial. There are beautiful ways to do it, like the GFX. Lift it up, change ISO, push it down. Magic, right? Why not on the Leica? I have no idea again. Next, the camera is just a little bit laggy at times when you on and off it and start pressing play. See, it doesn't. I have no idea why either. Next, when it starts playing, that is where the interesting part is. I'm shooting portrait with this camera because I love the portrait outcome. I'll talk about it later. But let me zoom in. Zoom in on the arm. Have no one ever complained that it should zoom in on the focus point? For an autofocus camera in the year 2024 when it was out, or 2023 when the original Q3 is out, nobody thought about it. I don't understand. Then, the viewfinder here. Now, this is a great viewfinder. No complaints on the quality of the viewfinder. But notice this piece of glass here. Look at the side. It's so close to the edge. Why? How many times do you think I have wiped this piece of glass because it has touched my lashes, touched my eyelid, have a bit of stain? It's really irritating. I spend so much time doing this, wiping my viewfinder because the glass is so close to the edge. They could have just raised this rubber by 2-3 millimeters or pushed the glass down by 2-3 millimeters. It would have been way better. Something I don't understand also. And lastly, you can't see it here, it's the autofocus. The autofocus is downright, I don't know, 2 generations ago. Single shot was fine. AFC is too jittery most of the time. If it's not daylight, it's very jittery. And IAF is not reliable. It can't detect eye most of the time. And when it does detect, it's jumpy. And when it focuses, I don't know whether is it focusing correctly. I have noticed a few times it doesn't. So IAF is not good. It's even crappier than the X100, or this is the GFX 100 RF autofocus. But if you're using for single shot, it's fine. If you shoot in daytime, AFC is fine. But beyond that, this is last generation autofocus, or maybe 2 generations ago. Something that is very curious considering that they do have the SL for them to play around with autofocus system, but still pretty poor on the Q3. Now, with so many complaints, right? Why the heck did I even still buy this camera? Well, firstly, image quality on this camera, supreme. Images shot with this are just so nice. f2 is very usable all the way to the corner. Compared with a f4, it's pretty sharp. You do stop down and get more depth of field to get a little bit more sharpness, but other than that, f2 is pretty good. Considering that this is a 16 megapixel camera, you have to resolve a lot at the corner itself. Then when it comes to using the lens in the field, beautiful sounding lens, very nice to use. Changing into manual focus is also very good. Press down the button here. Of course, it looks unwieldy now, but you can just turn this. It's so smooth, so nice. Go to macro, so beautifully designed. This is such a nice mechanism for the lens wise. Then this lens have optical image stabilization. You'll be wondering, why am I talking about something like this? Don't most Sony have that inbuilt body stabilization? Well, sadly, fixed focus lens doesn't always have that. Look at this GFX100, it doesn't have it. The latest generation of X100 has it, but before that, no. And if you look at the RX1, no. Image stabilization is kind of rare for some reason for large sensor fixed lens cameras. I have no idea, but this does come with it. I shot at 1.8 and it was beautiful. It works at 1.8 of a shutter, 1/15 of a shutter, and I love it. Saves me ISO, right? There is two more things that I love. Firstly, this thing has weather sealing with IPX rating. The exact IPX rating, I'll put it on the screen here, but it has it, and what it means that I can shoot in the rain, of course not downpour, but rain like this, I can also shoot like this, I shoot like this. It's been tested for, it is sealed. No, I don't need to screw on any additional filter to get my weather sealing, at least not that I know of. Unlike the GFX is also sealed, but you need to put another filter on it, so that's something to note. And lastly is the leaf shutter, because firstly, it's very soft, very quiet. Now just to let you guys know how a planar shutter sounds like. Very loud. So you do benefit from having a leaf shutter for its quietness. But beyond it being quiet, it's also a lot, I would say, as less shock. So image stabilization on this camera is also pretty good because of it. And lastly, it allows you to sync flash at significantly higher shutter speed. I could use wireless flash with this all the way to 1/1200. It's not that you can't shoot it at 1/2000. It's just that the latency on the wireless modules aren't that great. And if you use Godox with this, you lose a lot of power over 1/2000. 1/1000 is kinda the limit. But even then, it's still a good 2 to 3 stops versus some cameras. Compared to the A7C, for example, this is 2 stop plus advantage. And if you are using flash, that is a big difference between carrying something like the AD100 or the massively much bigger AD400 or AD600 to get the same outcome. So this camera with the leaf shutter allows you to use flash at significantly more efficiently and better. I think it's a big deal. I mean, if you are not a portrait photographer that uses flash, this is just not going to benefit you as much. But well, there's something. You can still benefit from it being quiet. Now, there is one point I want to say is that this camera is very nicely built. It really feels like a Leica. It feels so premium. But I think this is a personal thing, and I also feel that my GFX100 is also very nice, very premium. So I won't say this is a pure Leica thing. Now, one thing I want to say about the Leica is that if you're looking for a compact camera, this camera isn't that compact, because if I was to put the A7C next to it, you'll notice the camera-wise is about the same size. The lens-wise, if you put a f2 lens, you'll probably get the same size too. Just that there's not many good f2 lenses, and most good lenses are pretty big. So that's something to note. And that's really about what I like about this camera. I think I covered many things in this video. And by now, probably those things, can help you to make a decision. I mean, if you are considering to splurge or not, if you have the money and you want the Leica red dot, this is one of the most, I would say, it's convenient and accessible way to get the red dot. If you are not here for the red dot, well, get a Sony or get a Canon. They will do a better job for many things. The only time that the Leica outperforms those cameras is when you appreciate the 43mm and you want the leaf shutter because you want to do flash sync. Because the alternative to this is Hasselblad. There is not many other camera with a focal length that can be used for portrait and have a leaf shutter that do not cost more than this. In the end of the day, this is a tool. Of course, buying a Leica is all about the heart, not about the mind, not about the brain, because you buy it because you love it rather than you buy it because it's great. Because if you're looking for great stuff, there are many options. But if you buy something to enjoy, Leica is one of those small little enjoyments you can get. And that's about it. I hope this is informative to you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.